I guess all good things take time, so that's why this took a bit longer than I thought. While I was collating this one, there was an article that I read which was about South Auckland students in a Decile 1 school, which was around students from challenging socioeconomic backgrounds. And the statement that I read sort of ties in with what I'm trying to tell today. That these students don't actually need our sympathy, they need our professionalism. I'm an international student from India, and I come from Punjab, which is exactly where the problems are. And I think it just breaks my heart to see how things are happening today. So hopefully, this gives a little bit of perspective. So for me, definitely international students are assets, but let's just have a look. That's a quick disclaimer, as always in my presentations. These are my thoughts, do not represent anything from the association, and a little bit of fun in there. I'm not sure who the genie is, whether it is immigration or whether, I don't know, yeah, but we'll see. Anyways, so that's my disclaimer. These are my views. Just leading off Katie's stats, this is just to set a little bit of background, so people who do not operate too much in the student market or not very familiar with Indian students, this is a little bit of background for them. For year ending 30th June 2016, close to 27,000 applications were received by the Mumbai branch, out of which about just under 11,000 were approved. Approval rate for January to December 2015, which was 49%, which is the slide that Katie had, and from Jan to July 2016 is 44.2%. These are all legit. These are from immigration and from Mumbai branch. So I'm not making these up. Applications received in July to August 16, 2382 from July. So this is compared to last year. And the big numbers are when there was no English requirement, so when the Rule 18 was happily playing around. So we obviously saw almost double at that stage. When the rule changed for the English language to be introduced again, 47% decrease in applications from India in November alone. So that was almost double, roughly. A 25% decrease in applications lodged in December 2015 compared to December 2014. Again, all around the English rule. So it obviously shows you that it's driving a lot of the students that are coming in. And I think that I find really interesting. So that's as of today. So that's the financial year 2016-17, 39.8% approval rate. Anyways, that just sets the scene. And I think my job here, and I've been given clear instructions just to stay with what's happened. What I want to say is this is what I feel are the issues which are stemming in the background. And then what's happened, what is happening, and what I think that the future what lessons we should basically learn from here on. Obviously, that's the big one, which is unlicensed offshore agents. And that I think ties in quite well with the next one, which is poorly or loosely governed education providers. And I think for a student who comes in, obviously the education provider or the agent, or whatever you call them, there's really no regulation around them. But I think for a PTE in NZ, that they would know better. And for a student, it's almost like they're the epitome of credibility because they don't know what it is. They're going to New Zealand and a provider's given them the offer letter, and then immigration's actually granted them a visa to come here. So they wouldn't really know anything about the provider except what the website says, which is normally always really flash. So that, I think, is a really, really big issue here. And for me, I think it really boils down to why is all of this happening? And that's because I think that, well, this is what I believe, and this is what I found out of my research, that NZQA doesn't really talk as much as they should be talking to INZ, because had they been talking to INZ on a regular basis, a lot of the problems could have been avoided. What my understanding is that INZ almost comes into the picture and that's when they can stop issuing visas, when there is a compliance notice that's issued against a provider, but that's almost the end of the road. And by then, the damage has already been done, so it's actually too late. I also think that all of this has actually basically led to the quality of the students that have come in. I work very closely with a lot of universities and a lot of ITPs in New Zealand, and of course PTEs. And I think there's one song that's being sung by all. The universities have lost a lot of business to the private providers. University material students no longer want to come to universities because they see cheaper options with private providers. I think probably last 2 years have seen the lowest quality of majority of the Indian students coming from India, and it should definitely not be this way. I think they are our customers. That's what I see it. International students are our customers, and I think we need to look after them. And a lot of dots need to match for them to be able to see, because sitting in India, they are naive. Yes, they do go and end up with agents that they shouldn't, but they are actually naive. There are fraudulent documents, obviously, and I'm not going to touch into that. But I think my question for INZ is, what was INZ's processes around this when it happened? Yes, great, it's picked up now. What were the processes back then? Why was it actually not picked up? It's almost like it's a reactive kind of situation, because every time something goes wrong, we all start running around.